This is Marty and Wendy Bird. They used to live in Chicago and then, during season 1, moved to the Ozarks. This is their daughter, Charlotte Bird. She's the oldest of the family, and obviously, you can tell she's kind of a neurotic bitch. This is their youngest, Jonah Bird. In season 1, Wendy thinks that he might be a little crazy and maybe even a killer because he carries dead animals onto their lawn because he wants to attract vultures so that he can study them. This is Bruce Liddell, Marty's business partner. He is killed in episode 1, him and his wife, by Del. Speaking of Del, here he is. He is the one who approaches Marty and Bruce to launder money for him, and they end up doing it. Bruce starts skimming some of the money and taking it. So in episode 1, he kills Bruce and Bruce's wife. Marty tries to convince him that he can launder his money in the Ozarks. It's a booming business. He shows him a pamphlet so Del doesn't kill him and says, yep, let's do it. So they move from Chicago to the Ozarks. When they get to the Ozarks, they meet at the hotel Ruth Langmore, badass bitch. Then her cousin Wyatt Langmore, who hangs out with Charlotte a lot. And then you have Boyd Langmore. We're going to talk about him more later. And then you have 3 Langmore. Wyatt and 3 are brothers. This is their dad, Russ Langmore. Remember, he's gay, has sex with the FBI agent. And Cade Langmore. This is Ruth's dad. As Marty looks for businesses, Wendy tries to find a house, so she goes to Sam, this guy, who then brings her to a house where Buddy, this guy, gives them a house. He lives in the basement. He's gonna die within a year. Marty discovers the Blue Cat Lodge is a great place to launder money. The owner is Rachel. This is where she comes into play. She's gonna become psycho. All right, this guy's Trevor. He's an FBI agent. Bruce is killed. He realizes that Marty left. So he goes to the Ozarks with this guy, Roy, who's the biggest fucking douchebag on the planet. Remember, he's gay. He starts fucking Russ Langmore. So Trevor, this black guy, was dating Roy, the douchebag. They're both FBI agents. Not together anymore. So Roy basically uses Russ to figure out all the dirty stuff about Marty and his business. Meanwhile, Ruth also wants to learn about the business. She finds $8 million and steals it. Marty gets it back. Then she wants to find out everything about how Marty launders money. So she starts working for him and obviously has different jobs, mainly running the strip club Lickety Splits. Marty puts a lot of trust in her, and Roy and Russ, meanwhile, are trying to figure out everything that happens. Oh, and being gay together. All right, back to Marty. So Marty has the Blue Cat Lodge, and then he has Lickety Splits, the strip club. Soon come the Snells, Darlene and Jacob, who make heroin. They distribute their heroin using Ash, who is this guy. He dies, doesn't matter. By passing out hymnals on a lake service. The service is run by Mason. That's this guy. They are evil. There's also Tuck. He works at the Blue Cat Lodge and buys Jonah guns. So basically what happens with the Snells is Marty wants to have Mason in a church so that he can launder money through his church. So he wants to build him a church, so he starts doing that. Well, the Snells don't like that because they distribute their heroin on the water. So the Snells get mad at Marty and say, do not build that church. So Marty goes to Mason and tells Mason, hey, the Snells are distributing heroin on your lake while you're preaching. Mason doesn't like it, so he goes to the Snells, and the Snells are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We definitely don't do that. That's not accurate. This is what Marty does. So then Mason gets all upset about it and whatnot, and the Snells are also upset about it. And so they get mad at Marty, and Marty has to give them $700,000 to basically repay them back. So Marty is close to having all of his money that he needs to pay back Del. Remember, Del told him, you need to give us $8 million because your partner, Bruce, skimmed $8 million and I want that $8 million. So finally, Marty gets his $8 million and he pays Del, and he gets it in numerous ways. Remember, Marty also promised Del to launder all of his money, and he told him he wanted $500 million laundered within 5 years when he's at the Ozarks. So as soon as Marty pays Del the $8 million, Del has one of his informants send $50 million, which Marty and his family puts into the walls of one of the cabins at the Blue Cat without Rachel knowing. And he has to hide that all, and he's going to launder that money. But remember, Del told him, you need to launder $500 million for me within 5 years. Meanwhile, Sam's mom, Eugenia, dies. She gets hit by a car, and she runs a funeral home. So they take the funeral home over, so they have the 3 businesses to launder money. So Wendy and Marty have Lickety Splits, the strip club, which Ruth Langmore runs, Blue Cat Lodge, which Rachel runs, and then they have this funeral home. Then by the end of the season, Ruth kills Russ, her uncle, and Boyd, her other uncle, and Cade's sitting in prison, which she goes to visit him, and Cade doesn't want to talk to Ruth until Marty's dead. At the end of season 1, Mason gets so upset he can't preach anymore. He goes to the Snells and he tells them this. They get mad at him because they want their heroin to be distributed on the lake. So they kill Mason's wife, but they don't kill the baby. The baby's name is Zeke, so Mason takes Zeke and everything's whatever and fine and dandy with him. Garcia, who works for Del, who wants his money laundered, is sent to check up on the birds to see if Marty is doing everything that he's supposed to do. But instead, he comes into the house and Buddy shoots him and Garcia dies. So then Del comes and he wants to know where Garcia is, and Marty pretends like he has no idea what happened to him. So then Del tortures Marty, and remember, he rips off his toenails at the end of season 1 and basically says, where's Garcia? Well, then Marty, being the convincer that he is, tells Del, hey, we're going to use the Snells and they can use their heroin for your narcotics, and also they're going to build a casino on their land, and then that's how we can launder money. Arlene ends up killing Del because Del called them rednecks and she doesn't like it, and Marty tells his family to flee, but they come back and they want to be together. Then Rachel, the stupid bitch, finds the money in the wall. She takes it and she flees. But all of the birds are together again, and everything seems okay until season 2.